organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, the new University of Iowa Healthcare Clinic is working to be more LGBT friendly. We'll tell you about their efforts to be more inclusive.
And more high school students are preparing themselves for college. Find out what they are doing to put themselves ahead of the curve.
And in sports, we'll catch up with Hawkeye football coach Kirk Ferentz during his weekly press conference.
That's all coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for tuning into your Tuesday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Alyssa Bergamini.
And I'm Ryan Jones. A portion of the new University of Iowa Hospital's healthcare clinic will focus on care for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender patients. The portion of the clinic opened Tuesday evening in the Iowa River Landing in Coralville. It will provide general care as well as treatments specific to the community. Patients will also have more than 2 gender options to choose from while filling out registration forms at the clinic. Officials say they are working to provide more education to healthcare providers about LGBT patients.
High school students are preparing themselves for college classes more than ever before. Daily Iowan TV's Whitney Blakemore tells us how these students are benefited from a harder course load.
The number of incoming freshmen bringing in college credit classes from their high school has continued to rise among Iowa students, according to a recent report by the College Board.
Almost 1,600 students who enrolled in the fall of 2011 submitted over 4,900 different scores from AP tests.
Students are finding it easier to take college classes in high school, feeling them more prepared for college and can give them a leg up on all the other students.
I want to go into nursing here at Iowa, and I know that they do accept the AP biology credit. So I was looking forward to that and just getting like a head start on the biology.
We find, however, is that students who are prone to to advance themselves, to accelerate their learning experience, instead of graduating earlier, they use those courses to meet general education requirements and other gateway course requirements to courses in their major, and then they take other stuff.
The university is finding that students who come into college with many credits already don't necessarily end up graduating earlier, but instead take more classes that interest them rather than gen eds.
It makes it just easier to go the college transition from high school to college because the material you cover is much more in-depth.
Whitney Blakemore, Daily Iowan TV.
Barron says he expects the trend of students coming to college with credit to continue to rise.
Bikers now have more areas where they can park their bicycles in downtown Iowa City. The city of Iowa installed 6 new bike racks at several different locations in town, including the Iowa City Public Library and the corner of Gilbert and Market Streets. Officials from the city say that the additional bike parking will reduce the demand for automobile parking in the downtown Iowa City and University of Iowa campus areas. This initiative also supports the city's application to be recognized as a bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists.
Iowa is attracting more tourists, and the Hawkeye state's economy is growing because of it. According to a new report from the State Economy Development Authority's Tourism Office, travelers spent more than $7 billion in Iowa last year. That's a 10% increase since 2010. People traveling in Iowa generated about $372 million in federal tax revenue and more than $328 million in state tax revenue. The report also says travel-related employment rose, leading to the creation of more than 63,000 jobs in Iowa.
And former Penn State University assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky will face at least 30 years in prison. Sandusky was sentenced today after being convicted of 45 counts of child sexual abuse in June. The 68-year-old molested 10 boys over a 15-year period using his own charitable organization for troubled youths. He will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. Sandusky maintains his innocence in this case.
Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, some University of Iowa students are working to expand knowledge of the fashion industry on campus. We'll tell you about their first meeting.
And in sports, we'll find out how head coach Kirk Ferentz is reacting to the arrest of several players last weekend.
That's coming up in just a bit, but now let's check in with Daily Iowan TV's Whitney Blakemore for your local weather forecast. Whitney?
Thanks, Alyssa. The nice summer weather is no longer with us. It is time to bring out the winter coats, but don't worry, you might get a few days of mild temperatures later in the week. But for tomorrow, in the morning it will begin with clear skies, but it will be close to freezing at 37 degrees, and it won't warm up much more than that. In the afternoon, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 57 degrees, and for the evening, it will drop back down to 43 degrees with those clouds sticking around. Now looking into the next few days, Thursday, we will have a very similar day with a high of 64 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And if you are having any plants outside, it is time to bring them in. We have a low of freezing temps at 32 degrees. For the weekend, we get back up to the 70s, but Saturday will have a 70% chance of thunderstorms. Sunday night actually be a very nice day with clear skies. Then on Monday, there will be a good chance of rain once again, about a 50% chance. Looks like Sunday might be one of the last nice days of the weather we have left of the year, so enjoy it while you can. Back to you guys at the desk.
Members of a new organization at the University of Iowa said that they are hoping to ignite a passion for fashion on campus. The Fashion Management Organization is the first of its kind at the UI. The club's founder and president says she started in order to provide members a way to get into the fashion industry.
I noticed that a lot of these students do really want to have a career in the fashion industry. They do want to do marketing for a big fashion firm. They do want to do journalism. They want to write about trends. They want to write about Fashion Week.
The club held its first meeting Tuesday night. Members who are interested in certain aspects of the fashion industry will discuss them in an open format during meetings. This will include buying and merchandising, advertising, marketing, and journalism. The organization is actually open to all majors.
Shoppers at Sycamore Mall in Iowa City will soon see 2 new stores added to the shopping center. Tax preparation company H&R Block and the Kansas City-based title Ring Boxing Club will open their doors this month. H&R Block has already 2 locations in Iowa City, but they will be consolidated at the Sycamore Mall store. Sycamore Mall officials say they are excited for the new businesses to open and that they are each a good fit for the area.
Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney is not a fan of President Obama's campaign use of Big Bird. During a campaign stop in Van Meter, Iowa, Tuesday afternoon, former Governor Romney said President Obama's focus should not be on the Sesame Street character, but instead on the American people. Mr. Romney referenced Big Bird in the presidential debate last week. He said he would end funding for public broadcasting.
There are now 119 cases of people hit with the deadly meningitis outbreak. 11 of these people died. 10 states have reported at least 1 case of the rare fungal disease. Officials say the outbreak is connected to a steroid shot given as a treatment for back pain. At least 1 contaminated vial of the steroid was found at a pharmacy in Massachusetts, where it was made. The company recalled the steroid from the 23 states to which it was sent.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday ordered new parliamentary elections in early 2013. This will likely set the stage for a very quick campaign that could win him another term in office. The Prime Minister said a long campaign season could only hurt Israel's economy. The next election is currently scheduled for a year from now. However, it's been suspected that the current government's days were numbered and the Prime Minister would call for an earlier voting date.
And now, Daily Iowan TV's Annie Constable is here for your look at Hawkeye Sports.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. And of course, we start off today's show with the most anticipated news conference of the year for head coach Kirk Ferentz, after 3 members of the Black and Gold, including senior defensive captain Micah Hyde, were arrested over the weekend.
All 3 guys have been exemplary students, team members. None of them had any problems at all during their careers. So the student code of conduct will handle it. And then also on top of that, we have some in-house things that are, we have a protocol for violations. So, they'll serve those also over the next couple of weeks and months.
Did it cost Hyde his captainship, though?
It did. Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm.
So to be clear, they can play, or they are eligible then for Saturday?
They're all, if they practice well this week, we expect them all to play. I think part of going to college is being part of the student body. And I would suggest what happened to those 3 individuals this weekend is not unique to anybody in the student body yet. Obviously, they drew attention to themselves in a negative way, so that's not acceptable. It's a fine line. We have curfews, we have things like that in place, and as you might imagine, those are going to get adjusted here a little bit for the near future. But my past inclination has been try to treat a team based on their maturity level, and then kind of go from there. I think in fairness, discipline to me is subjective first and foremost in a lot of cases, not all. And then secondly, I think you have to consider the resume of the people you're involved with. So, but everything a player does is part of their resume, be it their academic performance, lack thereof, citizenship, and football. Football is probably third on that list. So there are certain offenses, and I think if you look back, certain offenses, if guys are guilty of those, then it's a suspension immediately. And you can say that's subjective too. But those things are all communicated with the team, and they know what's in store should they be guilty of those things. But I don't think anybody has a perfect system in that regard. So I think ours is fair, and fairness is really important. I think anytime you deal with things like discipline, playing time, etc. I think if you're fair, then people and you communicate, then I think you have a chance of being successful with it at least.
While much of the news conference focused on the status of 3 Hawkeyes, Ferentz did address the Hawkeyes' opponent this weekend, with the black and gold set to take on Michigan State in Spartan Stadium Saturday afternoon.
Very talented football team right now, coming off I think a very impressive win, falling behind and then coming back the way they did in that second half, really dominating the second half. So to me, if you look at that half in itself, it just gives you an indication of the kind of football team they have, the talent and potential that they have. So playing up there is always a challenge, and playing a team that's well coached and talented is a challenge equally as steep. So we'll get back to work today and try to see what we can do this week moving forward.
One of the men who will be playing a major part in the Hawks' game plan this weekend will be senior signal caller James Vandenberg. Our own Josh Bolander caught up with the Hawkeyes starting QB. Josh
Bolander standing alongside quarterback James Vandenberg, and James, obviously some distractions surrounding the team this week. As a captain, and more importantly as a leader and voice in the locker room, do you feel a responsibility to kind of talk to the younger guys and get them ready, especially ahead of a big game in East Lansing?
Well, yeah, I think it's something that certainly a mistake we don't want to happen, but we have to move forward, and it's up to the older guys, the leaders on this team, to make sure that we're policing each other enough where stuff like this can't happen.
Okay, first big road test, Michigan State coming up. What have you guys done a little bit differently over the bye week? Maybe film study or things that you're going to be doing in practice this week to get ready? Well,
yeah, obviously they're a huge test, and with that bye week, get to maybe get a little extra jump on them, but it comes down to executing, and that'll be more difficult on the road against a good defense, but it's all about execution for us.
All right, thanks, James, very much. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Well, that's all we have time for here in sports. Be sure to tune in tomorrow's show for an exclusive interview with women's soccer head coach Ron Rainey. And don't forget to tune back in Thursday when Daily Iowa TV Sports pregame returns from its own bye week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Annie. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek into Wednesday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about changes to sexual abuse victim service in Iowa City.
And find out what ECGPS leaders think about judicial retention in Iowa.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com. Thanks for watching and have a great night.